Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. It is I, John Michael, or as you may better know me as, Oscar Man, who is not talking about the Oscars today. Anyways, what a run Telltale had in the 2010s, huh? Releasing big titles like The Walking Dead, which, I don't know about you guys, but I think it made many of us tear up and full-on cry. It showed what the genre was capable of. Follow-up titles like The Wolf Among Us expanded the lore of the comic book and got many of us excited about what was next in store for the company. And though things started to become stagnant quickly soon afterwards, there were still titles like Tales from the Borderlands, which is still considered one of the best Borderlands games ever, even beating out Gearbox's own Borderlands titles. But yes, it became apparent that this style of gaming wasn't built to last, at least not without evolving the formula. And soon enough, Telltale's unfortunately shuttered its doors, recently reopening, but definitely not to the same extent that they were in the past. Enter Dispatch, an ad hoc studios made up of a lot of the veterans from Telltale, wanting to prove that there is still life left in these type of adventure-style games. So the question now is asked, is Dispatch a proper Game of the Year nominee, or is this a matter of enough time has passed since we've last saw a game of this style that the formula just sort of feels refreshed in a way? Well, let's dive on in to take a look.
You're Mecha Man. You're dead.
In Dispatch, you play as Robert Robertson III, or better known as his superhero moniker, Mecha Man. During the early parts of the game, in a bid to avenge his father, his signature suit is destroyed, resulting in him having to, unfortunately, hang up his superhero cape. That is until another superhero, Blonde Blazer, approaches him with a business proposition. He come work for her company that dispatches heroes, or supervillains turned superheroes, to places that call in for assistance all over town, and they in return will fix his suit so he can become Mecha Man again. Similar to other games of this ilk, a lot of the gameplay is really just watching scenes play out while you do minor button prompts and choose dialogue options, many of which don't really change the dynamic of the story all that much, if at all. It's the biggest problem that these games ended up facing while under Telltale, where apart from the story itself, there was little reason to really go through the game yourself, or at least, again, once you were done with it. You might as well have just watched the cutscenes on YouTube, especially here, as there aren't even any exploration elements that the Telltale games at least had, despite those not being all that great in those titles either. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying I don't consider this to be a game. I'm not the type of person that demands all game experiences to be the same or meet certain criteria to be qualified as such. But when the inputs presented here don't do anything other than give the story a slightly different flavor, that's a problem. Now, there is a little bit of a challenge in terms of the central mechanic of dispatching, which, as I said before, is you sending out superheroes or supervillains turned superheroes out into the city to save people, solve problems, sign autographs, what have you. It's a whole bunch of different things that are presented to you, and it's up to you to choose the hero that you think would best be suited to solve that issue. This part of the game is actually very entertaining, and I actually wouldn't have minded just a straight-on experience with just that, because once again, even if you end up failing, it doesn't really impact the story at all. Again, slight flavor text here and there, but overall, you're still gonna get the same story. That being said, I still enjoyed the dispatching mechanic. I liked the puzzly elements of it, even if nothing really taxed my brain all that much. There are little things that, at the beginning, the superheroes will kind of like sabotage one another to get above in the leaderboards, so you have to solve those type of things. When a hero is on the scene, maybe a different emergency comes up that you have to answer. And then there's, of course, the hacking minigames. These hacking minigames pop up from time to time and are incredibly simple. Now, they do get a bit more complicated the further along the story you get, but they never required any sort of deep thinking to really get through. It's harmless enough, and I didn't groan when they appeared, so in this sense, I guess I'll give it a pass. Despite the lack of substantial impact to the overall experience, I still think that the devs at Ad Hoc are to be commended for bringing back this style of game. There's a foundation here that could span into something more if the proper development happens moving forward. The story of Dispatch is entertaining, and the characters are all interesting. Many of them are even voiced by popular YouTubers such as Jacksepticeye and Moist Critical, which I think is an interesting idea. And the presentation is appealing with its world, setting, and art design. I've always wanted this style of game to truly be expanded upon, like really dig deep into what you can do with this genre. Imagine expanding your choices to such a degree that the replay value is out of this world. If you're gonna give us romance options, give us all the romance options. Make it so you can romance almost every single character. If you are going to present us with choices, make the story impacted by either succeeding in something or failing. Imagine, very early on in the game, you are given a test to see if you would be a good dispatcher. Now, what if you failed that introduction and they ended up passing on you, leading to a subsequent story where you meet completely new characters, there's a new set of romances, the way that you have to get your suit fixed changes up completely, and it could lead to multiple endings. Now I get if you take a step back in the grand scheme of things, that would be very hard to pull off. It's something that these type of games aren't really wanting to do because they want to push them out as quickly as possible. But that was the problem under Telltale. So I really want them to be able to expand it here because I think that's where you can really make this type of genre stay alive. It's going to take more time, it's going to take more effort, but otherwise I can see history repeating itself. For now, there is a solid foundation here. There's a great group of characters, there's a great story. Now really expand upon it to make us want to continue visiting this world over and over again. As mentioned, the art design is very appealing in Dispatch. It's colorful, there's great character designs, and the atmosphere very much feels like a comic book come to life. Sure, it all still has that kind of blocky texture that Telltale games used to have where the characters don't really feel real, almost as if they were made out of cardboard, but enough progress has been made with technology that it definitely feels less awkward than it used to be. To be honest, I think it works really well here, whether intentional or not, because it does make it look more comic booky, if you will. And so, in that sense, I really have no complaints. I give it a full-on pass. It definitely makes it more appealing to look at, and I think when you're walking by, if you would just have a whole bunch of box art, this one definitely would stand out because of its art direction. The characters in Dispatch all are very uniquely drawn, they have great style, they have great presentation. I just wish more had been done with them. You have quite a bit of a cast and limited time to really get to know them all, and so certain ones definitely got more focus than others. In the sense of who's getting nominated in this category, I definitely think they chose the two best ones to move forward with. Robert is someone who has seen his share of battles and has experience to make a difference even without his suit. At first, the way they were portraying him made it seem like he just didn't care about anything at all, and the way that Aaron Paul, who voices the character, came across was very monotone, almost as if he really wasn't putting his all into the performance. Yet, as the story progresses, you do see what they were going for the character. He has great standout moments, including how he views the world and in how he communicates with the team. I found myself really gravitating towards him as time went on, and by the end, I was completely sold on his story arc. Similarly, Courtney, also known by her superhero moniker Invisigirl, played by the one and only Laura Bailey, starts off as a punk archetype. She doesn't respect authority, does whatever she wants, is rude, vulgar, etc., etc. I thought for sure there was something more to her that they were going to reveal, and sure enough, they do, to the point that I found myself really liking her character by the end of the story. Plus, she fucking loves Sour Patch Kids. Truly a woman after my own heart. Now, both these characters are great, but if I did have to choose one over the other, my vote would go for Robert, as he does feel more fleshed out, has a complete arc. Plus, again, I really love the way that he views the world and he talks to his team. And as I mentioned beforehand, I really wish we had gotten some more development from the other characters. Like, there are some that you get to know more about and do grow an attachment to, but with how short the game is, you don't have a lot of time to really get to know, at least intimately, many of your teammates. Even the other love interest, Blonde Blazer, is really underwhelming. She's essentially shoved in your face when you first meet her. It felt awkward, and I thought for sure there was going to be something more hidden about her, and I just never really got that from her storyline. But, you know, again, with the limited time, I'm willing to give it a pass, but there definitely needs to be a sequel that expands on a lot of these characters, because I do think there's great archetypes here, and it would be a shame if we didn't dig deeper into each of them. For me to care so much about wanting to know them, the game has to be doing something right. So even though this is a complaint of sorts, I wouldn't be having the complaint if I didn't care. So still, kudos to the writers on the team for making me care about these characters with as little as we know about them. So does Dispatch have a chance at winning Game of the Year? Yeah, unfortunately not. In fact, out of all of the Game of the Year nominees, I think this one has the potential to go home completely empty-handed. It's a shame, but just looking at all the different categories and who it's up against, I just don't think the game leaves as much of an impact to be worthy of winning any one of them. So take that for what it's worth, but taking the awards out of the equation, this is definitely the most accessible of the 5. In fact, if you have a friend, a spouse, a partner that maybe doesn't play a lot of games, maybe dabbles here and there, this is easily a sell for them. Like, you can easily sit down with them, watch them play it, and they'll get through to the end, no problem. So in that sense, I completely applaud this type of experience. We need games of all types to bring people who are unfamiliar with the genre into the video game world. So on that end, kudos to the entire team for doing that. Taking the call, I give Dispatch a 3.5 out of 5 with the recommendation to play it. If you've been missing the Telltale formula, it's here in full force and you'll love your time with it. If you're absolutely bored of the formula, but it's been a while since you've experienced it, I would still say give it a try, as it will likely keep you entertained for its short run time. Don your suit, meet your team, and see if dispatching is the job for you.
You gonna eat those Twinks?
That's not what they're... You know what? Help yourself.
What's your name, little guy?
My name's Beef and I'm naked.
Oh, no, I refuse to believe that's what he sounds like.
And that is the penultimate review over and done with. I know you're like looking at yesterday's video and going, well, this is the game you were talking about? And nope, you're gonna have to come back tomorrow for what it was that I was talking about in yesterday's video. So do that, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you stay safe out there. And like always, have a good one.